Everybody's talking at the comic spot. The comic spot. The comic spot. Everybody's talking at the comic spot. The comic spot.
Hi,
Hey, girl.
Hey, how are you?
Hi. I'm good. I'm staying
nice.
warm. It's Texas. It's cold.
How cold is it there for you?
It's about 50 degrees.
Whoa, Holly, that's so cold.
I know, but I'm originally from Canada, so it's not really that cold.
It's not really that cold.
No.
Tell everybody what it's like to be from Canada to go to Texas. I want to hear this one.
Oh, goodness. Well, I went a roundabout way from Canada to Texas because in 1989, I moved from Vancouver to Hawaii. And I was married to a U.S. Marine, so we lived there for 3 years. And then we transferred to North Carolina. Excuse me. And that's where I started with American Airlines. And the husband and I divorced after 5 years. We don't have any kids that I know of. And then I just transferred around the world and stuff with American and traveled for work. And then landed in Texas, which is American Airlines headquarters.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've lived here a couple times back and forth, but I just moved here thanks to COVID, April the 20th of this year. So yeah, it's
Very
different.
What's the comedy scene like there?
Well, it's always funny, and I'm just with me in my mirror, but yeah, I've been here a couple of years ago. I came and did a few stand-up shows like at the Hyenas and whatnot. So I kind of met some of the comedy community. So we keep in touch. So when I moved here, I've been in a couple of shows, more so online these days, because I actually take classes from American Comedy Institute to help with my writing and just practicing, but also to keep in touch with the other comedians, right? So, excuse me, my last show was Saturday night. Excuse me. There's huge frogs here because everything's bigger in Texas in my throat. So, yeah, so comedy scene is going on. I do have a show December 5th, 10th, and 11th. A lot of like VFWs I've been performing at. So, yeah. The big difference of a VFW here in Texas and the other states is that they still smoke in the Texas VFWs. So the last show that I did when I walked in, I was looking for the producer and I looked through the smoke in the cloud and I saw her. So it was either I was going to die of secondhand smoke or COVID, but I made it, thankfully.
Oh my gosh.
It was a great crowd. It was a great crowd.
That's so cool that you do that kind of comedy.
Oh yeah. Yes, and thank you for your service. You're a vet.
Yeah. Do you ever see women veterans at the VFW?
Oh yes, yeah. The producer, my friend Kim Wadsworth, is a veteran. Oh. She was in the military too, so now she's she's been doing comedy for years, but she's hilarious. So and then you meet people in the community that were veterans. Yeah, so very positive.
Guys, we're talking to Holly Lynn Van Straten. Did I pronounce Van Straten?
You did. Thank you. Yep.
It sounds a little Dutch. I'm not going to lie.
It's a lot Dutch, actually. So you're right. So you're not lying. My father's family was born in Holland. And of course, they migrated into Canada back in the day. And so my dad was born in Vancouver. I don't speak a word of Dutch, but I do speak French.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and I've been to Amsterdam only one time, and that was for work. But yeah, I still have, I guess, relatives there. Yeah, my grandfather always had the nicest yard, all the tulips. It was perfect. We weren't allowed to touch the grass. We had to stay on the sidewalk. I remember that, my dad's dad.
Oh my God. Yeah. Did you ever wear wooden shoes? Because the boomers, we all had wooden shoes before we had our own shoes for some reason. Did you wear them ever?
Not that I remember. No, I didn't. We had a pair up on the wall for decoration, just to remind you. But I did buy a pair when I was in Holland. I went to Amsterdam, a couple of years ago, and I bought a pair. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And they're sold everywhere. And I did buy some wooden tulips to remind me of my heritage and my grandfather.
Oh, cool.
And they're growing amazingly, my wooden tulips, and they're just amazing. Always bloomed.
Yeah, I love that. I love when things are always in bloom.
That's right.
We don't need June for things to be busting out all over. We can have
No, my jeans are busting out, but that was before June.
it. So talk to me about how, when you first became funny, you might have said it at one of Steve Marshall's shows, because that's where I
Okay.
met you.
Right. I'm so thankful to meet you through Steve, because I love you tons and I love interacting with you, even when we're just chatting and talking back and forth during the show. So I turned 50 in 2019 and I moved to New York in 2011, left Vancouver where I was working at the time, moved to New York, and my friends at my going away party said, please tell me you're going to move to New York and go on Saturday Night Live because you're so funny. And I'm like, well, that's what us Canadians do. We move to New York and we just knock on the Saturday Night Live door and say, hi, I'm Canadian. And I heard that you accept us. So, but, I just moved for work and I never did get to, not yet on Saturday Night Live, but so like I said, and so 8.5 years into living in New York, I started looking for jobs outside of the city. And I thought, what would be something I want to do in New York before I left? Because I don't want to leave and think, oh, I wish I would have done that. So I started taking a comedy school 3 days after my 50th birthday. So I started class April 13th of 2019. And my first night on stage was April the 23rd. So with the American Comedy Institute, you pay for 5-day classes. So you get 2 one-on-ones, 3 classroom sessions, and they put you up at Gotham Comedy and you have your 5 minutes. So after that first class, I just kept taking classes and meeting people in the community, doing tons of open mics, because in New York, you might know that it's every night, every day, they have open mics all over the city, and you just there's apps and you sign up and you show up and you get your time, and sometimes there's real audience and sometimes it's other comedians, but still you meet new friends and you build your community. And in my day job, I'm actually a trainer facilitator. So I love mentoring no matter what it is. I'm also a life coach. So when it comes to comedy and learning through the school, I try to help new comedians or anybody actually that doesn't have confidence or they need a little bit of boosting up and whatnot. So just started to do the open mics, and then I took a hosting crowd work class, and then I started hosting shows in New York at night. So my day job, I did it at Broadway. That's right. And that's where I met Steve Marshall. So amazing how the world, we meet and you good people walk into your life. And yeah, great experiences. And then COVID hit and I lost my day job and I moved to Texas, and I found a job 72 days later, but I moved to a new state. And then I just been in touch here with the comedy community. Yeah.
So your day job is what?
Well, I worked for American Airlines for 20 years, and I used to, in 93, when I was married still, I started loading the planes, bags, and checking people in. It was a very small station, and I moved around. And my last 6 of my 20 years, I was actually the general manager of the Vancouver airport for American Airlines. So I learned as much as I could and got as much experience, and learned from my managers I wanted to be like and the ones I didn't want to be like, and I became and took my own path and became who I am. And then I moved to New York and I worked for One World, which American Airlines is part of the One World Alliance. So there was about 25 employees. I was a training manager and I got to travel. I've been to 53 countries, some for personal, some for business. Some I made personal after some business. And now I actually am a vice president for North America business development for Pro Air De-icing, which is a company that offers dedicated de-icing services. And de-icing, of course, is when we have bad weather, cool weather, and the planes need de-icing because you can't take off safely with the accumulation of frost or snow or ice. Yeah, so that's what I do.
Oh, I could have used de-icing when I was married.
Or yeah, well, my husband thought I was cold as a cold ice bitch, so I fit right in. The ice queen, right?
Yes. It's
The ice
amazing
queen.
how cold we can be when we're not being nurtured.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but we learn as we go, and we're better for who we are today, and comfortable with who we are. And I was divorced by 24, so I was married young.
How many
not
years
as
were you married?
5 total years. Yeah. How about you?
I was happily married for 1 year, if you don't count the honeymoon, which was a fiasco. And I should have known.
Yeah.
And on my wedding day, literally, they do this thing in Germany. I got married in Germany, where
Okay.
they take you and away, and you don't know when they're bringing you back. And I remember them confiscating me and thinking I didn't want to go back. And I should have thought hard about that.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah. Looking back,
I-
you wouldn't be on the path you took now. Yeah.
In Germany, when you're military, you have to get married twice. First time at the rat house, which that should be like a clue, and it's the police station. And then you have to get married on base with an American soil. And
Mhm.
I got 2 marriages and 1 divorce. So technically, in the country of Germany, I might still be married.
Okay. Hey, we're not going anytime soon, so I think we're safe.
Yeah.
But if you need backup, I'll go with you.
Okay, I'll take you with me. Well,
Of course, always. Wing woman. Wing woman.
yes.
That's
Well,
awesome.
so I don't really like focusing on myself, but I relate to you, so it's like easy to do that. So the very first time in your life that people told you you were funny, and it was like spurred you on to someday. What was that like?
It's funny growing up. I think when I think back, I think I was shy, but then I will now reconnect with teachers or people from school, and they're like, no, not shy wouldn't be the word. You always had a very strong personality and funny because that's how I make people feel comfortable around me and in any situation. So if it was a heated situation, heated meaning either at work or when we were in elementary school on the playground, people are like, you were friends with every little group. So I had like, if there were 6 little groups, like I was in the band, I played sports, I was in the drama, in the drama. I definitely was in the drama. So growing up, like at family dinners, I remember there was a religious guy on TV, and I want to say his name was Ernest Angley, and he used to stand up and hit people on the forehead and they would fall back and be healed. Well, I would stand up at dinner, like Christmas dinner, and heal everybody at the table, stand up on my chair and just like yell at the top of my lungs and put on this performance and just heal everybody for whatever reason. So my mom said I practically knocked her out one Christmas, and she still brings it up and laughs about it. But I just think because I facilitate in front of a one person in the classroom or a class, 500 people, whatever it is, I've always just been very comfortable speaking around other people. And as I mentor the new comedians, everything we do on stage is scripted, but people in the audience don't know what your script is. So if you forget a line, don't be so hard on yourself. You just keep going and being you because they want to know you. And that's what I found. And, at the beginning of doing comedy, I was reading Steve Rosenfield's Mastering Stand-Up book a couple hundred times before I took the class. But he says, be yourself. People want to know more about you, and you have a persona. And eventually one day you just don't go on stage the first time and figure out what your persona is. You grow into your persona, So it's like people care. Like I told a joke for the first year and a little bit on stage. I would say, whew, is it hot in here? Did my hormone patch fall off? And I look around the stage, and my coach said, you can't tell that anymore because people are actually looking for it with you, trying to help you. So they want to get to know you, and they care genuinely about you, and they just want to know more information. So when I have jokes, as my coach is like, we need to elaborate more on that because they're looking for more. They want you to hear more about you, and just making people feel comfortable around me and on stage, and the new comedians or anybody that needs some life coaching or mentoring or just to build themselves up is what I love to do.
That's awesome. So do you plan on doing a lot more VFWs?
Yeah, we have a couple shows coming up in November and December. So I know COVID's still rampant here, but we're taking all precautions. and bringing our own mic condoms and just keeping our distance and whatnot, but making people feel comfortable to come, and inviting just to have them there. But yeah, definitely. And or any shows, but I love the VFWs. They just love. And in Texas, it's just like you're part of the family, and
Yeah.
that's what I said. I thanked everybody at the show the first time I did it at the VFW. I feel at home here. I said I just moved here from New York, which is a huge change, but just being here and talking to them. And I said I was married to a Marine. I think I deserve. I didn't go fight for the country like you, so thank you. But I feel like I got a little bit of a credit that I did make it through 5 years with him.
Yes, you should be grandfathered in to the VFW. You gave your time.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I don't want to take credit away from those that obviously deserve it, but making them laugh was a definite pleasure and an honor.
Such a joy to do that. One of the things when I do comedy at nursing homes and living centers at VA hospitals and veteran stand downs that happen once a year in different cities. You can do comedy at those places. I tell them everything that I've said is out of my life, and I make it funny because enough time has elapsed. But when you go through it, it isn't funny, but you find a way out of that pain. And I say, so if anything, if you have anything you went through in your life and you want help to make it funny, meet me in the back. I'll help you write jokes. And it's been interesting to watch how veterans all have some story that wasn't funny and they've buried it, and nobody wants to hear it because they don't know how to say it in a funny way. So you're doing them a favor, a healing favor.
I agree. That's awesome. That is awesome. Cool. You're so beautiful. I brushed my hair for the minute the notice that I had.
I know, it's like a coming to our party.
That's what we do. Yeah. I put a shirt on. I didn't think it was appropriate not to wear one today.
You look pretty in blue. Now, the first time I saw you at one of Steve Marshall's Don't Behave, I thought to myself, you remind me of Tina Fey. And then you spoke about Saturday Night Live. So has Tina Fey been an influence on you?
You know what? Thank you for that, the comparison. I actually used to open up my comedy scene. I used to have longer hair and it was a little darker. I probably can't see how dark it is in here, but I used to introduce myself as Holly Van Straten, not Sarah Palin, because the resemblance was uncanny. And of course, Tina Fey does her Sarah Palin. So I love watching her. And a lot of people, when I meet them, they're like, you remind me of somebody. I know I just can't think of who it is. And then later on, they'll say, oh my gosh, it's Tina Fey. So that's awesome. But I love watching her. I mean, it's just so funny. Obviously, just so funny.
You know what I like about Tina Fey? Like you're not Tina Fey, but there's aspects of your delivery and your personal aura or something that reminds me. What I love about watching her is she always leaves you wanting more.
That's good. Yeah, that's interesting, right? It is.
I don't know. Yeah. Do you have aspirations still to, find the path to Saturday Night Live?
I wouldn't say no if they kept, if they keep calling, I'm going to say yes eventually. Just kidding. Of course I would. And I think when, being on Don't Behave with Steve Marshall, when he interviewed me, though that's an everyday chat in my life with people. I like to be quick-witted. I like to make people feel comfortable and change the subject, but doing so in a quick-wit response. And just doing that, and it was just over a half an hour with Steve, that you realize that I would rather, comedy is amazing on stage and you're making people laugh, but the quick-witting stuff like that, like Saturday Night Live, I'm sure it's all scripted, but that's what I'm good at. And I don't ever want to lose that part of my brain. And my parents are very quick-witted. I'm lucky to have that. And it might be some Canadian sense of humor type stuff in there, but I feel like that's my forte, the quick wit comeback. I did improv but you're always on it. I was always on a team. So it's like, I wanted to say something, but they're very cognizant that you want to share the stage. And you know, of course you have to share the stage and give everybody else a chance. And as getting older, I realized my quick wit, I actually have time to process what I'm saying to make sure I say it correctly and the message is right. Whereas when I was younger, I could give a shit what I said because I just said it. I think being in the business world and being around people around the world and communicating those in English, you have to make sure that the message is correct. So it's another way of just being cognizant of delivering it correctly and making sure that you use that time wisely and just make sure it's there, right on point. So
I like that. I like what you said there. Talk to me a little bit about the quick wit versus tempering that and thinking first, because I'm really good at quick wit. And I've taken very little improv, and there's a fine balance between being able to knee-jerk response and come up with the best possible. So what do you filter when you, how do you fast can you filter what goes through your mind when you're responding?
I even though I'm a comedian, but I'm also very cognizant of not saying something that's going to offend somebody. And I know that Steve is don't behave, but I don't go out of my way to offend people. And I'm very careful with the subjects that I use on my comedy. So I think it's actually done without a split second knowing that what I would say would hurt somebody. And I just don't actually have those thoughts anymore. And it's weird to say, but my brain thinks positive all the time. Like it's always my glass is half full. Or, you know, I dated a guy, let's just say I dated a guy for 2 months and, you know, he did this, but I said, but you know what, these are all the great things that we did. Even though he was an asshole and he did this to me, I just take it and then I file that away. And then this is, oh my gosh, yeah, we went to a wedding. Oh my gosh, the pictures turned out great. We had such a great dinner that night. He loved my friends. And that was what was meant to happen. The good parts of that 2 months, I take that. So it's the same as when I process things, and something negative doesn't have to come out of my mouth. It's funny why I just thought this in business, when you have something to say, but it's not a nice message. Like I get away with saying certain things in business relationships that people later will say, I don't know how you said that and how you got away with it, but the message definitely got across. So, I mean, and I'm very, very professional. I have goals. I make sure everybody understands what our goal, if it's a team, because I love leading people, what our goals are. You communicate, because I've always been on team, or I've been on teams where I wasn't allowed to communicate, or I was told what to say or how we're going to do it. And I wasn't asked what I thought, et cetera, et cetera. So you kind of just went with it. So as a leader, we have people that we need to engage them in thinking, because they're part of the solution of where we want to be at the end. So if you give them that, right,
Yes.
they will speak up to be part of the team and feel part of it. And they want to do something. You know, they don't want to, you know, you're not going to have them, oh, I'm not going to go to work today because I'm just going to call in sick. No, I want people to look forward to coming to work or having, you know, meeting our goals and how we got there and being a team, because everybody is part of it. And that's big. So
smart stance.
But people have to like what they're doing and trust and respect the person that they're working for and why they're there. You know, life is short. You know, we wake up and here I am, 52 in March. Where the hell did that go? You know, but you take pieces of it. You take pieces of your life and you take the path, and sometimes it was the wrong path, but you learn and then you go this way, and here we are. You know, here we are. We're doing what we want to do, which is important to also know that you and I find are very similar, and I love you and I love your energy, and it's just you want good for people, to make people laugh, and the best, you know, just moving forward. We've had shit happen and we've talked, you know, but we don't let it become us.
Yes.
It took enough energy.
2 things more I want out of you before you decide you want to take off your clothes and go back to sleep. One thing is, I want to know, what is your persona? I've never seen you perform, because I don't spy on people. You can say, go look at my, I find it, I'm a boomer, like I'm a true tried and It's, to me, it's spying. It's like taking out binoculars and looking in your window. It feels weird. I only do it if I have to. And I want to know about your persona, and I want to know something else, and I forgot what it is. So let's talk about your persona.
Okay. Well, it's funny. I think it's that people genuinely care about what I have to say because I'm a genuine person. When I talk on stage, I've noticed that a live audience, there'd be nobody talking because I engage people in conversation. And I think that comes from life coaching for free my entire life, but also because I care about people and I engage in eye contact and in the conversation, and I have a good memory. I remember things about people somewhere because I can't remember what we had for breakfast yesterday, for example, right? But because it's important to me to make somebody an individual, I remember employees' children's names, that their sister-in-law that lives in whatever country's having a baby on December the 12th, whatever it is, somehow, how I just remember this. And I think the persona is through my comedy, I talk about myself, my family, and my life experiences, dating, all positive, but just funny things that have happened, and people want to know more. And it's a good feeling that you can make people laugh. And if anybody, a comedian's listening, even though the audience doesn't laugh, they will when they go home and they get what you said. And that's how quick I am. I just keep going because I have friends that will call me like a week later and like, now I know what you're talking about. I got it. So even though you wait for your laughs on stage, you wait and then you go on with the next thing. Some people won't actually get the full joke or the message until later on. And if they don't get it, they don't get it, but some get it later. So don't be offended if somebody in the audience or nobody's laughing, because sometimes they just need to regurgitate it or think about it, and they will, because if it's memorable, they will. So I think my persona is, I'm just comfortable in who I am because I'm laughing about myself and I'm sharing my life experiences, because everything I say on stage is true. And you don't have to start a joke and say, this is a true story, because they'll wonder if the others were. Everything I say is always about me. And I think you can tell by the passion and energy I use on stage to engage and share who I am. And that might not say, there's not one word of who I am as a persona, but I just think it's I think it's engaging. I talk to people on the phone, like your voice is soothing. I bought something on Facebook Messenger or Facebook Marketplace a couple weeks ago, and I went to this guy and I picked it up. It was a $35, because I moved into a house. It's a 4-drawer filing cabinet. I was there for 2 hours because he just kept talking to me about what was going on with his wife, his stepchild, all of these things. And last year, his dad had passed away, and this happened with his brother, and it just kept going and going and going. And, I don't have the heart. I mean, I didn't have anything on my schedule. So I'm like, yeah, oh yeah. And then I would refer back to the stepchild. And do you think this is an indicator? I said, now you're going to counseling. He goes, yeah, but now it's more of a marriage counselor. But before we were going because the son was coming and it didn't help, so he didn't come anymore. So now I'm trying to save my marriage. So he just kept going and going and going. So of course we texted back and forth for a bit. And every time I look at the filing cabinet, I just want to say, hey, reach out and say hi, but I don't. But I'm sure he knows I'm thinking about him.
You could have filled up the filing cabinet with notes.
That's right. It's almost there.
Yeah,
So,
that's nice that you're available. So your secret to getting everybody to listen to you is being engaging and being real.
I think so. You realize these things, and I try to explain it. You can't explain everything to a younger person, I'm sorry, but I realized, I think at the age of 40, that I was comfortable with me, and I was trying to please so many people. And then you eventually, wow, I like who I am. Like at work, people would come to me, and because they trust and respect you, but you don't realize who you've become. And I'm happy with who I become. That doesn't mean I don't keep working on things, but that I think comes across on the stage. And just engaging. And when I meet people, I'll ask, like if I mentor people at a university, a class or something, I'll turn my back and I'll say to them, I've never met any of you before. I walked into the classroom, I introduced myself, and now it's my time in the front of the class. I say, I'm going to turn my back. And for me, for my self-learning, I want you to yell out. I don't know your voices. I don't know where you're sitting, who you are, where you're going. I want you to just yell out a few things that you felt now, or when I walked in, if I was pretty, calming, educational, whatever it is, just yell out some things about me so I can learn about me. And the people that were in the other speakers after had said, that was brave. And I said, that's how I learn about myself. I don't get a chance to talk to these 200 people one-on-one and to ask them, because I'm not going to say, hey, what'd you think of me? Because people always say things that, oh, you were great. Oh, I love your shoes, or whatever it is. I just want to, I just want to know. And I don't do it to make me feel better. I want to learn about me and what my first impression was, because sometimes with dating, I have a strong personality. People don't know how to approach me. I want to make sure I don't look like or come across as the snob, you know?
I do.
So I learned a lot about myself. And I think I'm always self-aware, and I like who I've become, but still working on things.
I love that. I love that a lot. So you're a life coach. Talk to me about your life coach aspect of your life.
Well, I was just certified actually recently, but I feel like because of my personality and my caring about people, and just meeting people around the world and communicating with them around the world for work or for personal reasons, I just feel like I was doing it my whole life. And my mom does the same thing, but doesn't know it. She's a life coach.
Right.
You listen, and a life coach doesn't write a prescription. You listen to somebody, they tell you what their goals are, and then you help them achieve them by checking in and writing them down and discussing them with somebody and where they are at checkpoints. Because I'm not a doctor, obviously. So I just have been doing that my entire life. And you know who your friends are that you call if you need help or you want somebody to listen. And that's the other thing, a life coach will listen, and you don't pick a side, and you don't give your feedback or opinion without asking that other person. I can tell you what I think, but you have to give me permission, because I'm just listening and trying to help you get to where you want to be. So you have to be very cognizant of that. And just, I guess the listening part was what for me is my somehow my forte. But listening is, though I love to talk, it's listening is something I've learned definitely in the past 20 years, how important it is.
I love that. I love that a lot. I think I'd make a really good life coach.
You are a life coach because of what you've been through and what we learn, and you are a good listener.
Thank you. I'd like to hear a little bit more. I don't know how much time you have, but
what day is it? Just kidding.
Today happens to be Monday. Is it Monday? Yeah.
I think so. I have all the time in the world for you.
We used to have underwear that had the days of the week on it.
I remember.
I'm glad we don't have that, because I would be so screwed right now.
Well, I would be still wearing on Saturday, because I don't think I'm just kidding. I did change my underwear.
I would like to hear a little bit more depth into the American Comedy Institute. Is that a Gotham Comedy Club sanctioned event kind of thing?
Well, Gotham Comedy actually, I think, supports American Comedy Institute. So when a club, there's other clubs that we use, but the downtime at a club is we have shows like Saturday at 5 to 7 when they were live, because that was a downtime at the club. So we could it would be pretty much bringer shows. When you had your graduation show, you would have the show there at the Gotham Comedy or West Side Comedy, Upper Manhattan. And they give that time to the school, but we bring business to that comedy club when otherwise it would be dead time. So we're helping each other. Yeah. So that's the agreement.
You've been in the comedy ACI for 5 years, you said?
No, I just started March 2019 was my first class.
And you've been constantly in it?
Yeah, constantly. I just keep enrolling in classes, one-on-one writing classes, classroom sessions. I learn from listening and seeing. So if it's on Zoom or whatnot. So when we go to class in person, you hear what other people have. You see how they are, the feedback from the coach that he gives them. So I take that and I learn from that, but also I mentor other people and I recognize those habits or, facilitation skills of I think what it is. And then I can help myself, but also others.
So tell me something wonderful, that a nugget that somebody has given you and a nugget that you gave to somebody that transformed their comedy.
I think there's a few things I'm going to tell you. When you're on stage, never say that's my time.
Really?
Yeah, never say that's my time. You just finish up your comedy and you say, thank you. I am Holly Van Straten, Holly World Comedy. Have a great night. Yeah, you don't ever say that's my time. There's different reasons why. They're there to hear comedy. You use up all of your time that you have to tell your jokes and to get in, make your contact with the audience. But also, you're there to tell. You don't have to say, hi, now I'm starting. You don't walk on and say, hey, now I'm starting. So why, when you exit, would you say, okay, that's my time? So just you use every minute to make people laugh, because that's not ever going to make somebody laugh. As soon as you say that, they're going to start clapping. So you might not have even said your name yet, because if you say that's my time, they start clapping. They will never hear you say, thank you, I'm Holly Van Straten or whatnot. The nuggets, earlier I mentioned how don't ever kick yourself on stage, because people don't know that you forgot a line. Just keep going and read your audience. Take your time. You need to breathe. Let people laugh, and don't say a joke over a laugh, because they're missing out. And that's going to make them not want to clap or laugh, because they don't want to miss the next joke. So take your time. So if you are on stage for 5 minutes and you only got through 15 of your 20 jokes, the 15 you take time, say, get your laughs, and they have the 15. Nobody in the audience ever leaves and said, they only said 15 jokes. I expected 20 at least. If they're laughing the whole thing, the whole show, that's what the goal is.
I
So
love
there's
that.
just a different few things. Yeah.
I find it really hard to notice the laughter. And that
Oh.
must mean that I'm not really at the point where I'm in the moment enough to notice the laughter.
Maybe. Because I know they're laughing at you. I know that you're making them laugh. So definitely there's laughs there. Maybe it's your nerves. Maybe you just have to you're beautiful, you're on stage, people love you, and you stand up on stage, you can just stand there, and people would love to be there with you. So you need to take time to laugh too.
I'm really working on slowing down, trying to hear the laughter. But like in my life, I can't remember when I've talked to people that I've paid attention to them laughing and when it stopped and when I should say more. So I'm working on that.
But it might also be natural, because people have always found you funny and it just happens. So for you not to recognize it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, so don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah. So I'd like to give it the floor to you to say anything you want to people, the good, the bad, the ugly about comedy, or I don't think you to go with the ugly, but like what things you want to accomplish before you go on to another life or pass on, whatever you believe, or some kind of encouragement during COVID. You're in New York during COVID, right?
Yep, I was in New York. Always make the best of everything. And just because my best is not somebody else's best, you have to have it for yourself. And if somebody's having a bad day, I think I said this on Steve Walk with Steve, if you don't know when somebody's having a bad day, a smile can save somebody's life. Seriously. I worked at the airport for many years. I was frontline, check-in, do whatever, and then I moved up to management. I'm very thankful for that. But when a customer, for example, missed a flight, as an agent, I didn't know if they were missing a funeral, a wedding, the last breath of a loved one, a flower that they've been waiting to bloom, to watch online, and they're going to go see. You don't know what kind of day they're having. Some people have a hard time just getting out of bed. So for them to get to an airport and miss a flight, you don't know how that's affected them. It could have been their fault. It could have been your fault. It doesn't matter. You need to make that person feel comfortable. Smile. I'm sorry this is happening. Even if it wasn't your fault, you can say, I'm sorry this is happening. Doesn't mean I didn't say, I'm sorry you missed your flight. It's not my fault, or it is my fault. That's not what it is. You listen to somebody. So take the time to be kind. You shouldn't have to think about being kind. It has to come natural, because if not, it's a bunch of bull crap. You know, you just be natural and be you and listen. Ask somebody how they're feeling. How are you doing today? And they're going to tell you, just like the guy with the filing cabinet. I'm the one that opened it up, you know? So I can't open something up. He gives me an answer and I shut it off. I went till he was done. He needed to hear me. Why did I click on Facebook Marketplace that day to buy that cabinet on that day, and he was available for me to drive and I was available to drive? Why did all these things happen? That he then texted me after and said, I'm sorry that I opened up and took all your time. And I said, please never be sorry, because somebody that wants to listen is there for you, no matter where that person comes from. And so that's a positive part. I'm going to tell you, in relationships, it is really hard for people that I date to understand that I'm not hitting on people, because I am the same with women, men, children, older, younger, whatever it is. I am always me. So if you see me in the Walmart, you see me on the highway, you see me in a comedy club, I am always me. You don't have to wonder what kind of day I'm having, because I'm always me. So always, I like to be consistent. And that's one word I use in a job interview. I am consistent. And that could go either way, but you're going to get what you see. Holly's. No walking on eggshells today. This is how it is. And people can rely on me because I do listen and I want to make a positive for other people, which helps me be positive.
Absolutely.
So be nice, be kind, listen to people. And yeah, I mean, especially in these times, I'm going to tell you, excuse me, being in New York during COVID when it started, it was the city was closed down. We were locked up for over 25 days in my apartment. Didn't leave my apartment. I mean, I don't know how I had that much food in there, but I guess I did hoard enough that got me through. Didn't lose any weight, but anyway, I had enough food. And after living like that and going out, and we're able to go out now with masks, and people are still being assholes, I really thought the world would see it. And maybe some, and I can't be pessimistic, maybe some have evolved and realized that the world should be kinder. I haven't seen my family since November. They're in Canada. I can't even get there. Not that I would risk them. My parents are older, but 17 years older than me, which is not a lot, but they are. So just I thought that the world might be a little different, but hopefully there's still hope. And just be kind. There's going to be assholes. I just don't choose not to surround myself by them.
Yes.
Though those are, for me, those are challenges. You can make a difference in some people's lives, and try. You don't spend so much energy that it's going to drain you, but those are challenges when you meet the assholes.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm glad I wear a mask, because nobody can tell when I'm thinking or saying F off. Because there are those people that push you.
Yeah, you're right. But your eyes also tell a story.
Yeah.
That's right. That's good.
Have you ever gone walking and then you just felt very afraid for your life during COVID? People come too close, or I'm not talking about scary people, just like they come in your body bubble too closely?
It's your reaction is different now. The reaction of what, like, yeah, that's my space. You know what I'm saying? I'm a hugger, and obviously not anymore. But I miss judging people by the type of hugs they give. You ever had that? Like somebody just pats you on the back, or somebody's a real tight hugger. I feel like I miss that. But I think I do feel like when somebody walks by in the store, sometimes they're like too close. But I think that's just our reaction because we're not used to it right now. You know, because it's just not the norm, I guess, the new norm. But my coach says this is a really mean joke, but I don't think it's a joke. I was in a store that was in Texas where it was mandatory, of course, to wear a mask, and everybody's got a mask on except for this guy. And I said, if anybody should take advantage of wearing a mask you should over that face. I'm not mad that you're making a choice, but I would take advantage of, covering all this. Anyways, yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much for coming on
you're so
and sharing
sweet.
who you are. Is there anything you did not say that you're going to regret?
No regrets. Hashtag no regrets. I'm very thankful for the time, for meeting you how we did, and that's how the world goes around. Good people in your life bring other good people in your life, and you gravitate towards those people. And I'm just thankful that we met, and I really appreciate your time. You're very sweet, and I love listening to you. And
I love listening
being
to
your
you.
guest. Being your guest is amazing. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. So do people contact you to be life coached by you?
Some people do. I haven't really promoted that yet. I kind of just during COVID, people know that I'm doing it, and it's not really a business. I do it because I am passionate about people, and some people just need to chat. So Holly World Comedy, people can always contact me there, or I'm on Facebook, Lynn Van Straten.
So hollyworldcomedy.com.
Yep. There's a website there with an email access or an Instagram message or Facebook message, or however, I'm always available. And when I say always available, I'm serious, because most of my clients, being that I worked for an airline and I was a training manager for 13 airlines all over the world, when my phone is going off at a certain time, I know that it's somebody that needs me. So yeah, I just, it's my instinct. My body is conditioned to know that I'm needed somewhere, email, texting, whatever, phone call. So when I say I'm always available, I'm always available.
That's amazing. Wow, Holly Lynn Van Straten, you're one amazing person.
Oh, I love you.
Little side note, now that we're done with the formal part, this is our after party, so to speak. Little side note. I was in training. I was never a training manager. The only thing anybody ever let me manage was magazines at the Portland airport. Inanimate objects. Yeah, I can tell them what to do. Get back there. But yeah, I worked at Washington Mutual in the training department.
Wow, that's great.
So
because you are good with people. That's why you're good with people, and that's a good thing. When companies have people that are not good with people in the training department, it's questionable.
It's a real red flag, right?
I agree, definitely.
Thanks so much for your time, Holly Lynn Van Straten.
Love you. Have a great day.
Love you. See you at Steve Marshall's Everything.
Yes, thank you. Bye, honey. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.